All right, let's take you back to our developing story we've been covering throughout the week. This is, of course, the death of the Tanzanian president, John Pombe Magufuli, who was nicknamed the bulldozer because of his way of doing things, as he was forcefully determined to get things done his way. Though it won him criticism and praise in equal measure, his bulldozing got things done, and at both policy and fiscal level. Days after entering office in 2015, he reduced the cabinet size from 30 ministers to 19 to help reduce costs. Brenda Kirubo has that report.
John Pombe Magufuli was elected a lawmaker for the ruling Chama cha Mapinduzi party in 1995 and served in various ministries including Lands and Human Settlement, Livestock and Fisheries and the Ministry of Works. He forged a reputation as an incorruptible leader. Magufuli cancelled a lavish Independence Day ceremony days after coming to power in 2015. He directed the funds be used in road construction in the capital, Dar es Salaam. Magufuli also imposed austerity measures to curb government spending, such as unnecessary foreign travel and using cheaper vehicles by government officials. Perhaps the most radical reforms was amending the laws governing the award of mining contracts. The mining sector's contribution to GDP, or the total number of goods and services produced in the country, is estimated at 3.5%. The new legislation removed the rights of mining companies to resort to international arbitration. In fact, the government set about recouping taxes from multinationals. The most memorable case was a tax dispute with global miner Acacia Mining, which was accused of having significantly undervalued its gold production for years. With international mediation no longer an option, Acacia reached a settlement deal that will see it pay $300 million in 3 tranches of $100 million each.
Indeed, when Magufuli came to presidency, he had the narrative that foreign investors took advantage of Tanzania. And he felt that foreign investors were not paying their fair share of taxes. And he made this one of the core pillars of his presidency. So what we saw with Acacia Mining, for example, where he slapped on them a 190 billion tax bill, for him, it was a way of returning to Tanzania back the wealth that has been drawn from it.
In 2016, the Tanzanian government under President John Pombe Magufuli initiated a new drive to revive the national carrier, Air Tanzania. The government purchased 6 new aircrafts between 2016 and 2018. Magufuli also pushed for infrastructure development to boost economic activity in the country. Projects include the expansion of Terminal 3 of Julius Nyerere International Airport, construction of Tanzania Standard Gauge Railway, and expansion of Port of Dar es Salaam. The aggressive infrastructure development has driven economic growth at close to 7% a year for the past decade, and Tanzania has crossed the World Bank's threshold to become a middle-income country with an average income of more than $1,036 a year. Magufuli said they achieved the goal 5 years ahead of plan, but the International Monetary Fund has raised doubts pointing to serious weaknesses in the growth data.
He really believed that if they're not going to get funding from foreign investors and foreign countries, then Tanzania has to raise the taxes domestically and locally. And I think that's why he had that Tanzania first economic nationalism that seemed to be at the cornerstone of his presidency.
The Bank of Tanzania predicts the economy will expand by 6% or more this year, from an estimated 5.5% last year. The central bank says the figure is linked to global economic recovery and faster private sector credit growth in the first half. Unlike other countries in the world, Tanzania did not shut down its economy at the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, with President John Pombe Magufuli insisting the crisis was not serious enough to warrant a shutdown. Brenda Kirubo, KTN News.
Well, from that report, we want to unlock a discussion with my resident analysts, and that is Ken Gishinga joining us from our City Center studios. We also have with us Wohoro Ndoho, who is joining us from the comfort of his home via Zoom. Well, let me begin by you, Mr. Wohoro. Of course, the exit of President Magufuli leaves a huge vacuum in regards to reform-oriented leadership in East Africa. Let's get your mind on this. All right, I think you need to unmute yourself first. We can't hear you. All right. As you fix that up, are we set? All right. Let's take it to Mr. Gishinga. Well, similar question. Where does this leave East Africa?
Well, it's been a very painful week, Abi. Obviously, the news coming out of Tanzania with the death of John Pombe Magufuli obviously has cast great sadness, not just in Tanzania, but on the whole African continent. He was known to be a patriotic leader. He was known to be a very committed leader and a very diligent leader. And obviously, it's going to be a big hole to fill. I think this will be a point for Tanzania to really reflect on its political economy, because prior to Magufuli, if you look at the economics of Kikwete, Mkapa, or even Mwinyi, they led fairly what is called a free market economic system, and that had its positives and its negatives. What Magufuli was trying to introduce was more of a state-driven economic agenda, where the state was heavily involved. That also had its positives and its negatives. So I think with Mama Suluhu coming in, I think she'll have to find her feet in that great equilibrium that every society must face. What level of private sector and what level of public sector involvement they will need to be successful?
And Gishinga, still staying on with you, I understand we are yet to re-establish our connection with Mr. Ohoro. Moving forward, of course, the new president, that is Mama Suluhu, will be inheriting quite a robust plan that had already been hatched in regards to redirecting resources within the Tanzanian economy. What will literally characterize her reign in power?
I mean, obviously she's inheriting the presidency at a very early stage of the 5-year term. She has pretty much most of the 5-year term. So in a sense, she has an entire presidential term to lead, and she'll also be chairing the Chama cha Mapinduzi, which is the behemoth, really, that rules the political system of Tanzania. So I think very quickly, I mean, it has been said that she is more soft-spoken, she is more moderate, so we might not expect maybe that tough-talking personality that we saw in Magufuli, who could take on these multinationals that are not paying their taxes, could take on some of these conglomerates that were not contributing to Tanzania's economy. But I think her positive side is she should be more diplomatic. I think she might be able to maybe make it easier for Tanzania to relate with the rest of the East African community, and she might be able to sort of open up, maybe attract more foreign investors who might have been put off by the abrasive stance of Magufuli's economic personality, if you like.
Well, thank you so much, Ken. We want to take a break, and remember, you can be part of this conversation where we are looking at the legacy of the late president. Well, for now, we'll go for that break.